Hello everyone, welcome to watch the demonstration video of the CookerMock tool. We will first start from the perspective of a real user and to demonstrate a quick installation and the use process. Also, we will demonstrate more advanced functions and details later. Alright, let's begin. So now let's assume that I am a developer, and you can see this project-a-front end is a web application that I am currently developing. First, I go to the project directory and through the terminal and start the project. Okay, then we can see that in this web application, there is a student list to display student information, and there is a search button. When we click this research button, it will send a HTTP request to get some student data from the server. Also, at the same time, I will also print out the complete return data structure of this API response. So now let's click the search button and you will see an error. This is because the HTTP interface behind it does not exist. And don't surprise, this is very common in real modern front-end and back-end separation development scenarios because the front-end and back-end are developed at the same time. However, I must rely on an API that can return data normally to continue the front-end development. So what should I do now? So now we know this is what CookerMock is for. Now we can only need to use a very simple command to install CookerMock into the project, like this. After successful installation, you can also see the specific version number in the project dependency. Then we just need to start the CookerMock service, like this. Now you can see the log that our local mock service is running on port 8088. In addition, in order to forward HTTP requests, we also need to install our browser extension. Okay, now we have completed all the installation work, and these are one-time tasks that normally only take 1 minute. Now we can access the web UI provided by the CookerMock service and create a mock API for the backend API that doesn't currently exist. We only need to enter the HTTP path and HTTP method and an optional description for this API. And we create. Then we're gonna create a mock data for this API. Because an API may have multiple return conditions, so we define it as a scene. So firstly, enter the scene name and followed by the corresponding return data, which is a JSON format. And the response data here depends on the return format agreed upon between you and your backend developer. Usually, there will be an API document between you and the backend developer that describes the return structure for this API. Okay, now we're all set. We have created the API and return mock data. Now let's go back to our web page. And you can take a look at our Chrome extension first. In here, you can switch a proxy mode, which is an advanced feature that I will explain it later. Okay, now let's click this search button again. Bingo, we can see that the API returns the data normally, and the page shows everything that we expected. Also, you can press F12 to open the console and see the green log of CookerMock, which shows its running status on the page and the mock information of HTTP interface. Okay, let's go back to the web UI of CookerMock and make some changes to the return data to see if it can be refreshed in the real time. Okay, I'm changing my name to ABC, see if it works. Okay, let's click search again. Bingo, yeah, you can see the name changed. And this is the new API response. Okay, this is a quick use of CookerMock. And I believe you are already aware of the important functions of CookerMock in the modern web application development. And next, I will introduce and demonstrate some advanced functions of cooker mock. Okay, let's start with the multi-scenario mock function. As we know, an API may have multiple return situations, including errors. If you are an experienced developer, you will know that the most bugs in the development process come from inadequate handling of abnormal processes. So if we can quickly cover all kinds of corner cases during the development process, this will significantly reduce the bug rate and the development efficiency. So I create an error return scenario for this mock API here. So you can see that we quickly try the error situation without having any worry about the actual server-side API. It's just happening in seconds. And at the same time, we can also switch between multiple scenarios freely. And if there are multiple APIs, we can combine various page status through different scenario setting. This is a very powerful function. Okay, next I will introduce a more powerful and useful function, which is AI filling. How to efficiently and high quality generate synthetic mock data has always been a technical difficulty in the past. But now with the support of large language model AI, this can become feasible and effective. So let's take a look at this function. You just need to simply write a data structure like this and leave the value empty, and then click the AI filling button here. A cooker mock will call the OpenAI service on the backend to improve the mock data and turn it into synthetic data. In addition, we can use comment syntax to give AI specific instructions on how to fill our mock data, like this. I ask AI to generate 10 student data for me. And you can see that each student's information is like real data and with different IDs, names, age, etc. Okay, let's move forward to the next feature of cooker mock. This feature is very interesting because it demonstrates a core feature of cooker mock, which is that the mock data in a cooker mock is stored in files rather than in a database. For example, I want to change the name to Bo Yuanzhang. Instead of moditing here, I can directly find the corresponding JSON file in the project's file directory and modify it direct and natural. So another benefit is that because it is file-based storage, so our mock configuration can be tracked directly through Git, which is highly integrated with version management of the project files. So here I can use Git to manage my mock API configuration and persist it in the Git remote repository and along with the project code. Another benefit is that my mock data is safe. It doesn't enter any third-party cloud system. It's stored in the Git repository as safely as my project source code and will never be lost. Okay, finally, let me introduce the browser extension we provide. After clicking this extension, there is a simple UI where we can switch between mock mode and real server mode. In mock mode, the cooker will intercept this HTTP request according to the mock API you configured to implement the mock function. But it will not touch the API that is not configured. In the real server mode, the cooker will stop serving, and all HTTP requests on the page will be sent to the real backend server. So we can switch to this mode when the backend API is ready to quickly verify the page status on the real data and mock data. Thank you for the watching, and feel free to ask any questions.